From the outset, the issue of leadership was central to CAN's work with community groups. It was also a central issue in terms of CAN's internal workings and in terms of how it developed a shared model of leadership, which is unique for an organisation of its type. The current members of CAN consist of its board of directors and staff. On a monthly basis, they hold a management meeting to decide jointly ongoing plans and strategies. The meeting is chaired by the non-executive chair, but for all intents and purposes, leadership in CAN is shared and distributed across all members who take specific responsibility for different aspects of running the meeting and running the organisation, depending on their talents, experiences and interests. Staff members also take direct responsibility, often in pairs, to implement different activities and other operations. This shared model of leadership is distinct and has evolved from 25 years of practice. In its formation stage, CAN followed a relatively traditional structure where leadership was concentrated. In theory, a director reported to a board of management and oversaw staff and the work. In practice, however, CAN's first director, Mary Whelan, operated a shared leadership model. But it wasn't until she decided to step down after 5 years as director that CAN was challenged with making this model more explicit and to have it more formally adopted through a rotating directorship.
We were very influenced, I think, by trying to look at, because we were a community development organisation and participation being a central value in community development, how could we go about doing this in a participatory way? Like what could we do that put those values into practice? And also, I think we were thinking about other people becoming director, other people in the organisation becoming director, taking the organisation where they thought it should go, having the opportunity to develop their own skills as well, leadership skills, whatever. And we thought this out and decided in the end that we would have a rotating director.
Pat Tobin was Mary's first successor in 1992, and she was followed in 1995 by Dave O'Brien. Following discussions of priorities, these appointments were made by consensus. Subsequently, in 1998, an interview process was used to appoint Cecilia Forrestal, Monica Manning in 2002, and in 2007, Maura White was appointed part-time director. The time between Pat's appointment in 1992 and Maura's stepping down as director in 2010 was a period of innovation for CAN. It was a time during which leadership was rotated and shared among its members, but also during which it experienced tremendous change in terms of new funding opportunities, new projects, new personnel, and new relationships with external agencies, particularly with statutory bodies. At various levels, CAN members were challenged with explaining the concept of a rotating director to external bodies.
We were very clear at the time as to why we wanted to adopt a rotating directorship within the organisation. We were quite excited about the prospect of working in this way. It represented a new way of working and one perhaps that other organisations could learn from. But we were also very clear that we needed to represent this with clarity and with confidence to other organisations who didn't operate in this way.
In 2008, CAN, like other community development organisations, was presented with the challenge of adjusting to the radically changed economic environment. As an organisation that had self-managed through a rotating directorship, the process of adjustment was always going to be both complex and painful.
And what was quite powerful was that the majority of the staff really wanted CAN to continue, and they were willing to take a cut in wages. They were willing to cut down on hours and yet continue to do the work, and also give up their pension. And the process was that we made our own decision. Like, we made the decision to take a 20% cut. Nobody made it for us. And I feel through a really difficult time that CAN went through, that shared leadership really came out on its own, and the structure that we had in place to manage those kinds of situations really did it, and did it well. And those of us that remained in CAN are very much aware of all that, and each of us took up even a stronger leadership role within that process. So it was really tried and tested, I would say, and the process went well.
Following this difficult self-adjustment, and by the time Maura stepped down as director in 2010, CAN entered a period of consolidation, whereby leadership roles are now formally shared and distributed across board and staff. CAN members exercise these roles both individually or jointly with other members, while the board retains some reserved functions in relation to staff and finance matters. The details of these are normally worked out by non-executive members in subcommittee, but the whole board, staff members included, make the overall decisions.
Organisations that talk about the qualities of leadership. They talk about risk-taking, managing conflict, vision, management. They'll talk about courage, change, innovation, capacity to have difficult conversations, exercising authority without role or exercising authority within role. All of those sort of things, right? And they're seen as the package of leadership. Well, if you look at our history in CAN of leaders and growing leadership and rotating the director, and our experience of the processes that go alongside that, resulting in a place now where we have reached the conclusion to share leadership, we have all those characteristics and experiences within our DNA at this point in time. So I think one of the things to acknowledge now is that we have an organisation of leaders. We also talk in our world about the intrinsic leader within every person, and that part of the purpose of community development is to bring out that intrinsic leader within every person. So there's this.
CAN was set up 25 years ago, and despite various challenges along the way, it continues to have a presence in supporting community development and participation in Ireland. CAN members believe that its own internal model of shared leadership has helped it grow and develop over the years, and has become the keeper of its value system, particularly as it relates to community leadership and participation.
I expect the next 5 years certainly will be a challenging time for CAN, as it will be for all organisations within the sector. There's significant changes taking place, and it is currently very different to what it was when CAN started, and it's very different to what it was even 15 years ago. I would be confident that CAN will be able to work with organisations in new and different ways. We have a lot of experience ourselves. We have learned a lot from the organisations with whom we've worked. We are able to reflect and to integrate learning in a way that organisations find very helpful. And we are committed to doing that, and I would hope over the next 5 years that that will help to make CAN sustainable, but also will help to build the resilience and sustainability of the organisations with whom we work.